Hello again. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the country that we're praying for on Friday in the World Day of Prayer. It's called Vanuatu. Now Vanuatu isn't actually one place. It's a Y-shaped archipelago of islands just off the southeast coast of Australia. People there are mainly Melanesian and Polynesian, but their history goes back a long way. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about their history. And then in our next episode I'll be telling you about how things are for them now, today in 2021. The islands were discovered originally by the Spanish in 1606. Then good old Captain Cook got there in 1774 and renamed them the New Hebrides. Not that they were anything like the Hebrides that we know in Scotland. For a long time they were ruled jointly by England and France. So the two main languages that are used in education and official business are French and English. It has over 80 islands within this group and over 350,000 people. The climate is prone to earthquakes and cyclones, volcanic eruptions, and all sorts of other natural disasters. So though it be a paradise in one respect, it's a very difficult, hard environment to live in. In the 1984, they gained their independence from England and France and became Vanuatu with a flag of its own. And the flag is very distinctive and it has green, red, black and yellow within it. The green is for the richness of the islands, red is for the blood of the wild boar and men, black for the Ni Vanuatu people, and yellow the Y shape of the gospel that shines through the region. The emblems of the boar tusk mean prosperity and is worn by many of the native people. Namali leaves are crossed in the middle to represent peace. Just a little bit more on the background. I've got a statement here that was put together by a friend of ours, Dave, and his friend, Nick, who went out in 2008 to visit the island. So I'm just going to read that for you. In 2008, myself and Nick had gone to Israel to participate in an international gathering of indigenous Christians. We took part and travelled around the Holy Land with nearly 800 tribal peoples from all over the world, all of whom were believers. The largest contingent were nearly 400 from Papua New Guinea, but there were numerous Native American groups represented, as well as Sami, Maori, Inuit, Aborigines, and numerous peoples from the islands, including Vanuatu. Quite a few wore t-shirts commemorating a Portuguese explorer called Pedro Ferdinand de Queiroz. And being inquisitive, we had to ask who he was and why this European man was being celebrated by South Pacific Islanders. They were proud to tell us that this was the man who had brought the gospel to Vanuatu at the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth had received Jesus and were now bringing their good news back home to Israel. So, the story goes that de Queiroz had been employed by the Queen of Spain to explore this region, seeking land to add to God's empire and new trading opportunities. He was hoping to get to Australia, but had been blown off course and landed on one of the islands. On Pentecost Sunday, 1606, de Queiroz made an audacious declaration on the beach of the island that, from this time on until the coming of Christ, the gospel will be preached from here to the South Pole, and this land will be known as the Great Southland of the Holy Spirit. The island is still called Espiritu Santo, Holy Spirit. People still visit the beach on pilgrimage and the gospel is preached. Even 400 years later, local believers remember this European seafarer and celebrate the fact that he brought the good news to the ends of the earth and that he's still bearing fruit. This and more is mentioned in a couple of films if you want to know more about this trip of Dave and Nick's, and I'll put the link up at the end of this video for you. So that gives you a brief outline of the history of what is obviously a very special place in a very special part of the world. And as I said, tomorrow I'll go into a little bit more about how things are for the people of Vanuatu today.